The following is a presentation of Learfield IMG College. Live from the Rutgers Club, this is the Rutgers Football Show. Your all-access pass to the Scarlet Knights is coming your way on the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College. Tonight's show is brought to you by To be a part of the show, give us a call at 1-877-384-1869. That's 877-384-1869. Here's your host, Chris Carlin.
And we are back for this week's edition of the Rutgers Football Radio Show right here on RVision on ScarletKnights.com and, of course, on 1450 WCTC in New Brunswick and the Scarlet Knights app as well. For week number 8, Rutgers preparing for a home matchup with the Liberty Flames this week. Chris Carlin alongside the coach, Nunzio Campanile. Coach, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Great. And look, Fooch, Eric just showed up now. Fooch was sliding in for a minute.
It's nice to be with you.
Now we're going to slide.
Great job, Fooch.
I thought that was outstanding work. I'll tell you what, Fooch did a great job last week with Jerry Recco. Appreciate those guys coming in and helping us out. And Eric will slide in here in a sec. And, of course, the telephone number to get you involved tonight, 877-384-1869. Your questions for the coach, Nunzio Campanile, we will get them on the air. We'll also have a special guest later on, Anthony Marshall of the Scarlet Knights, taking on a very important initiative. It's going to be a lot of fun to talk to him in just a bit. Mr. Legrand, as he puts his headset on here and we get situated, you can see he's got his Role Model 52 shirt on, which is sweeping across. Every time I look at social media, somebody new is wearing the shirt, all in white, and we're the black one tonight. How we doing, E?
I'm doing well, Chris. I'm running a little bit late, but doing well. And the Role Model shirts, like I said, they're taking off, and everyone's wanting to be a part of the movement. So it's been pretty cool, very humbling and overwhelming in a good way.
Outstanding. It's good to have you with us. And Coach, let's take a quick look back this past week, the loss to Minnesota. As you look across the board, there are just so many young players here who are starting to develop on both sides, but you only develop by really getting the opportunities in games and in practice to show your wares. So what are you seeing right now from some of your younger guys as they're taking some lumps at the moment?
Honestly, we're seeing a lot. You see guys getting better every week. You see guys, learning from their mistakes. Unfortunately, some of our mistakes are happening in the game, because a lot of young guys really should be making those mistakes in practice and working their way up. But, just the way that we're built right now, we've got a bunch of young guys playing. I mean, we go through, right now we're playing a freshman at quarterback. We have 2 freshmen playing at running back and a sophomore. We've got a freshman wide receiver starting, freshman tight end. We got 2 guys on the offensive line that are freshmen. And they're all playing really hard. I think they're doing a really good job. It's just sometimes, the mistakes that, they start to pile up, and they tend to, kind of bite us in the backside a little bit. So hopefully each week we kind of eliminate some of that stuff. And the thing I was probably most proud of the young guys this past week was they kept playing right through the end. They're starting to understand that every rep matters, and the reps that happened in the fourth quarter of last week's game and the third quarter of last week's game hopefully will pay dividends this Saturday and the 5 weeks after, the 4 games after that. So, those are things that are definite positives. I thought the defense really played really hard. We came up with some really big plays. Young guys like Christian Isian going out there making plays. You see him; he's kind of flying all over the place. And Deion Jennings played a great game the other day. Another young guy, another freshman out there, flying around making plays. So as you see those guys playing, they're making plays, and it's an opportunity for them to learn and grow. And hopefully we start to see that growth expedited because of the fact that they're getting to do it in games at this level.
And you've been seeing some of the videos online. The energy in practice seems to still be up tempo. Everyone's running around, having a good time. How have you been able to keep them going at up tempo with everything that's been going on?
Well, they're great guys. They love being together. They love Rutgers. They're proud to play with each other. And all we talk about all the time is we get an opportunity to play football, we get an opportunity to play together, and we need to get the most out of it every day. And the only way that we're going to get the results that we want is to continue to work at it and to continue to stay positive and understand that, we're not going to solve all our problems in one practice or even in one game. It's going to get solved over a long period of time, but the best way to do that is kind of stack the days on top of each other. So if you go out and have fun, you got a much better chance of going out and playing well on Saturday if you're having fun every day and playing hard every day in practice.
Again, our telephone number, 877-384-1869. Your questions for Coach Nunzio Campanile, Rutgers and Liberty this week. Everybody's always going to focus on the quarterback. So, Johnny, as he continues to develop the good things that you saw this past week and the things where you feel like he needs to improve.
I thought he competed hard. He made some good plays. He made some plays with his feet. He made some throws later in the game. Obviously, the turnovers were a major issue and things that we're going to work through. As I told him, the interception on the deep shot, you can kind of live with that. It's kind of a change of field play. You have to take some shots in the game. The 2 turnovers out of the pocket really can't happen. Those are things that, really no matter what level of football you're playing or how old you are, you kind of have to know when to either check the ball down or throw it away. And when you're out of the pocket, you have that opportunity all the time. Hopefully they're learn and grow moments. But I thought he did some good things in the second half. The third quarter, we had, I think, a 17-play drive and ended up coming away with no points because we got an offensive pass interference penalty. Just before that, we had a kind of play wired up. We got the first down, but we really probably should have gotten a touchdown, and it just didn't come together. Then the penalty, we went from the 13, I think we kicked the field goal from the 30-something. And, obviously, we've struggled a little bit in that area the last couple of weeks as well. And then, in the fourth quarter, there was the third interception, but there was also a couple drives where we moved the ball a little bit, and there were guys making plays and finding some of the things that we got a little rhythm. So I think there's definitely growth there. I know that everybody wants us to throw for 300 yards, but I'm not really sure that we're built to do that. We were doing it earlier in the year, but, there's different people, so.
After you see the film of the O-line, what would you say you evaluated from them? Of course, at sometimes they did struggle a little bit, but then you mentioned that 17-play drive where they were driving it down the field on Minnesota's defense. What did you see after you evaluated the film?
I thought that we blocked pretty well in the run game. I think we had, 14 first downs or 16, 16 first downs. The week before, I don't even know, it felt like we didn't have any. But we moved the ball, and a lot of them were short yardage. We were able to move the ball. We were able to run it. We just didn't really make any explosive plays. We had the one long run by Barnwell in the fourth quarter, but I thought they did a pretty good job of staying connected and fighting and competing. We just didn't get any of those plays to pop and get out of there, which we need to. They play, but I thought they did a real good job in the run game, and we struggled a little at times in the pass protection. We give up a couple sacks. We got hit a bunch of times, and that's part of football. But at the same time, we need to limit the hits on the quarterback and. The sack we took on the drive, I think that definitely affected the field goal. And those are things that, they're kind of more matchup things than they are schematic things.
Let's get our first telephone call in of the night. Jerry is down in Miami, Florida, and he is up first tonight on the Rutgers Football Radio Show. Jerry, how are you doing?
Coach, how are you?
Great.
Good. Hey, Coach, real quick, I had 2 points. I just want to talk about time possession a little bit. I think our defense is playing really, really well. If we can kind of limit the other team for 10, 11 possessions. Once we get past that 11, 12 possession mark, it seems like that's where we kind of break down. We just lose kind of steam. Just talk about a little bit. I know you like to be super aggressive on offense, but just trying to run some clock a little more or milk the clock a little bit. We convert 2 or 3 or even 4 more third downs. That potentially eats up, 6 or 7 more minutes off the play clock. So I think time possession is real important for us. And I just want to talk about, you always talk about opportunity. We have a couple of opportunities to win some games for the rest of the year. I believe we got 5 games left. And, out of those 5 games, we have Ohio State and Michigan State at home. Realistically, how many teams are really going to play Ohio State left in here? 12 or 13 more games? How many of those teams are going to play them at home in our backyard with thousands of fans? We really have an opportunity to shock the world. And I just want to know if that's been brought up to our team. And we really have a rare opportunity that no one really around the country has. We get to play those teams in our backyard, in front of our screaming fans, in our comfortable environment. Just talk a little bit about that.
Well, the first point, it's very valid. Controlling the clock. We really haven't thrown the ball that much. The other day we ran 69 plays, and we actually threw 19 passes, but I think it's really valid. There are just times where the ball needs to move down the field, and you have to push the ball down the field sometimes. I mean, I'm really not interested in playing to keep the score close, but I do think that you have a great point about once we get too many possessions in the game, it starts to wear on our defense. And we went back and forth on the shot we took right after the fourth down stop. We had obviously time. We knew that we were getting the ball back. We knew that we had gotten the stop, and they were reviewing it. So, in that time, we talked a lot about, all right, we got a chance to take a shot. We actually got the matchup we wanted. We just kind of a little late on the ball. But obviously that was deflating for our defense. I mean, you turn the ball over one play after they make a great play. And those are kind of always the decisions you make as a coach where you're like back and forth and you're like, all right, well, if we make this play, we're going to change the game. But if we don't make the play and we turn it over, then, obviously that changes the game in a whole nother fashion. So we definitely understand the time of possession, where that matters and where it factors in. And like I said, we had a 17-play drive in the third quarter. So, I mean, we ate up a lot. I think we threw for 9 yards on that drive. So it wasn't like we were, throwing the ball a million times. But, that is a valid point. As far as the shocking the world, our biggest focus is trying to get better at Thursday's practice so that we can win a game on Saturday against Liberty. And our best chance to shock the world against any of these teams would really be to just keep getting better and keep improving, because we have to build the type of confidence that says we can go out and compete, week in and week out, and really down in and down out. So that, I believe me, I would love to shock the world, but when that opportunity comes, we'll we'll get ready for it. And right now we're going to focus on, getting ready for this game, and hopefully we can build some confidence and go out and get a win on Saturday against a really good Liberty team, and then, we can go forward and just try to build off that success.
And I wanted to ask you, you just mentioned about some of the throws being a little bit late. I saw when you did take some of those shots down the field, it looked like Langan, let it go a little bit. Was that because he was trying to hold the safety, or was that just in his drop back? How come he wasn't just like three-step and let it go out to Bo Melton? Because you see the speed that Bo has down the field, and if he can get him the ball in time, he can make some damage with the ball, with the play.
It's funny, Eric. I asked him the same thing. No, I'm just kidding. He's just, honestly, just kind of going through the process of, recognizing it and getting the ball out fast. If you saw it in practice, you'd say, all right, that's exactly what we want. And, we threw 2 deep balls, and they were both like a step late. And, the difference, it's a fraction of a second. I mean, as you know, you played this game at this level. You certainly know that, the difference is a step. It's a half a step. And, the difference between getting the ball out or processing it fast enough to make the decision to cut it loose. And, hopefully just the more he plays, the better he gets, and, that is definitely part of the game. And as I've said, a bunch of times, he's kind of learning on the job when most guys his age should be learning, on the, in practice and, working his way up to maybe getting 10, 15 reps a game. But I definitely saw growth throughout that game that I think, okay, hopefully this week the ball comes out a little bit faster, a little quicker, a little more accurately, and we just keep building on it.
Phil Simms used to talk a lot about the game slowing down for him when he took that next step at each next level. And I know it's different for everybody, but from your experience watching quarterbacks go through that kind of process, is there a certain amount of playing time that they have to have before that really starts to kick in?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I think if you, look at Daniel Jones on the Giants right now. Not that I get to spend a lot of time watching him, but, just in what I get to see following it, there's definitely flashes where you're like, wow, that guy's going to be special. But, at that level, he was an elite quarterback in college, and, now he's in the NFL, and I'm sure there are times where you're a second late or you're, whatever it is, and you turn the ball over. It happens at every level, and every guy starts to make that jump, and that's just the way it is. I was sitting around before the game last week, I guess at the hotel, and they were talking about Trevor Lawrence throwing 2 interceptions. Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number 1 pick in the draft in 2 years, and
yep.
They're killing the guy. I'm like, holy cow, what are they talking about? This guy's phenomenal. Who wouldn't kill to have Trevor Lawrence? And so I just think sometimes the expectations are unrealistic. I'm not saying that we should be throwing for 50 yards in the game. We certainly should not. But at the same time, there are growing pains to players, and a guy like Trevor Lawrence goes out and plays with, arguably the best team in the country around him. So, it's different. There's a learning curve for every one of those young guys that's out there, And when you put them all together, I think that adds up sometimes to mistakes that, people may think that's an excuse. It's not. It's just a fact. And, that's part of the process. We have a bunch of young guys, and I think their future's really bright. The biggest thing is we have to keep them positive and keep them growing together so that they become really good. They become a really good team in the future.
I want to talk a little bit more about that when we come back. We're going to take our first break of the night. A telephone number again, 877-384-1869. Don't forget, you can tweet us your questions at Rutgers Radio. That's at Rutgers Radio. We'll get them in for Coach Nunzio Campanile. It's Rutgers and Liberty this Saturday, 12 noon at SHI Stadium. Stay with us from Learfield IMG College, from the Rutgers Club on the Livingston campus. This is the Rutgers Football Radio Show.
Red 18.
This season, you can share a Coke with your team on it. So I'm going to tell you how with a little help from this quarterback.
Sally 44.
You can share a Coke when your team's up.
Red Poncho.
You can share a Coke when your team's down.
Happy Jolly.
You can even share a Coke with your rival on game day.
Chili, chili, chili.
Or you can share a Coke when you're giving out your famous guacamole recipe in a completely packed stadium.
Cilantro, chopped onion, squeeze a lime, Roma tomato, hike.
Share a Coke with a fan this season.
Ice cold, delicious.
Technology is the backbone of every business, but choosing the right technology requires time and resources most IT managers cannot spare. For 30 years, SHI International has helped businesses select, deploy, and manage IT solutions that meet their unique business goals. From end users to the cloud, SHI helps build and maintain some of the world's most complex IT environments. Find out how SHI can help your organization by visiting shi.com. That's shi.com. SHI, innovative solutions, world-class support.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
To protect his home and family from disaster, Steve used courage, wisdom, and his camera phone.
That should do it.
Way to go, Steve! By simply taking digital pictures of his family's important documents, Steve can always have them stored safely online, no matter when disaster strikes. Learn other simple ways to protect your home and family before a natural disaster at ready.gov. That's ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's me, your cell phone. We need to talk about something serious. I know you love me, I know you like using me wherever you are, but I feel like this isn't working out when you're driving. I know you may think that it's possible to focus both on me and the road, but I just don't feel the same way. I think we should spend time away from each other when you're driving. It's for the best.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Rutgers Football Radio Show. We are here at the beautiful Rutgers Club on the Livingston campus. If you haven't checked it out, by all means, go to rutgersclub.rutgers.edu or come by, check out what membership is all about, but it is just an absolutely great setup with terrific food. Sebastian and company do an amazing, amazing job with this, with the brand new Rutgers Club that opened up last year. A couple of the guys I wanted to get to in particular that you've talked about with the younger guys. First of all, we've seen Isaiah a ton. The other two running backs that we have seen more of lately are certainly Aaron Young and also some more of K-Ron Adams. So, from that younger player perspective, break down those two guys for us and what they're capable of and how they can help this team now.
Well, Aaron is kind of a hybrid type player. I mean, he's a great back. He's got great feet. He's got great vision. He's tough. You've seen a bunch of them on kick return. I think he's done some dynamic things there. But he can catch the ball. He can line up in the slot. He can line up outside. He can line up in the backfield. So he can really do a lot of different things. And, he's a special kid. He's very smart. He's the type of guy that his versatility will definitely be an asset to himself and to the program. And then K-Ron he's got great vision. He's built like almost perfectly for a running back. He'll be probably 215 soon. He's really fast. He was a 10-800 meter guy in high school. He comes from a great program, and he is a guy that he just has a great feel for it. He got his first first touchdown last week, which I think was, really cool for him. It kind of got him a little fired up, and I think we'll definitely see more of him going forward. Similar about around the time we started to see Isaiah really kind of show up last year. I think K-Ron will start to show up a little bit this year and help us, lessen the load on Isaiah and, keep him fresher throughout the game. We keep, Colby Smith and I keep talking about trying to get K-Ron in earlier. Just the last couple of weeks, we have not gotten a lot of plays up in the first half. But, we were able to get him in last week in the second half, and he had a bunch of good runs, and hopefully there's something to build off there.
Can you take us in a little bit into an offensive game plan when you have weapons of multiple guys, Isaiah Pacheco, Aaron Young, and now K-Ron Adams? How does that go when it goes to planning against another team and trying to get them the ball and mainly get them in space with the ball?
Well, one of the things that you hear all the time from coaches is, or at least from smart coaches, is it's players, not plays. So it's important to figure out how to get the ball in the hands of the guys that could win a game for you. The first game I ever coached with Greg Toll, that was the only advice he gave me. He said to me in the locker room, he goes, "Hey, I'm just going to tell you one thing. Put the ball in the hands of the guys that can win the game for you." I was like, all right, that makes sense, so it's always been about that. So you have to try and look at, okay, this is the primary in the pass game. All right, this is where it starts, but it doesn't mean that guy always gets the ball. But you got to make sure that we find a way to get the ball in certain guys' hands. For the running backs, it's a little easier, but there is now more read stuff in the running game. So we have to make sure that we're never allowing them to not have the ball in the hands of our most dynamic runners. So it is a big part of the game plan, is making sure that you get enough touches. Ideally, in my mind, you want to get 75 to 80 plays in the game. Now, in the NFL, it's probably 55 they get off. But, in a college game, I think you could get 75 up. And in the last 3 weeks, we were 75, 46, and then 69. So I think 2 of those games we've at least been close to that. We just got to cash in on some of those snaps.
How about Isaiah Washington at receiver? This is a guy that's become a pretty consistent starter. What do you see?
I love him. He is a great competitor. He's got great ball skills. He's really a student of football. He loves football. He works really hard at it. He does all the little things that you would want a young receiver to do. And, last week as the game, kind of got out of hand, he was kind of fighting to stay in the game. And that's exactly what you're looking for, guys that just love to play. And he really buys into that idea, like, we're just stacking reps on top of each other so that eventually when the time comes, they're going to pay off. And, he's used to winning. He wants to be, he is a winner, and he wants to be in a program that wins. He'll be a big-time leader in this program, and he'll be a standout player for 4 years.
Can you talk about the tight end position now and how you can utilize it a little bit more? I know you don't have a lot of depth right now at that position, but how can they get more involved into the offensive game plan?
First of all, I think Matt Alaimo's probably been one of the most overachieving players that we've had. I know it doesn't show up in a million catches. I think that will come over time. But the work that he did to get himself ready to play since he got here has been tremendous. It's been remarkable. He's a really great student of football. He's a really unselfish kid. He will do anything he can to help the team. He's made himself a really good blocker. And in 2 years, when he's, fully filled into that body in the weight room and all those things, I think he's going to be a lights-out, all Big Ten type player. And then, Davon Robinson, we've moved over there. And, he had kind of gotten a little lighter because he was trying to play wide receiver. But I think he sees that his future is probably more as a move tight end. So, he's, definitely gotten more catches and more pass opportunities. We have to keep developing him as a blocker. We can't be the type of team that when, certain guys go on the field, you become very one-dimensional. We don't want to do that. And then Brandon Myers has really worked hard to make himself a good blocker. He's more of a fullback type, and that's what he wants to be. And I think there's a role for that. I think you need that. I don't think you can play in the Big Ten without having somebody that can, create running lanes and, help you convert short yardage. And, he knows exactly the type of player he is, and he's great at it. He's a great special teams player. So Cooper Heisey has a chance to develop into a really good player too. So I think that they're all young. I mean, Davon's a sophomore. The rest of them are all freshmen. So there's a lot of room for growth there.
877-384-1869, 877-384-1869, and on Twitter at Rutgers Radio. Defensively, Deion Jennings, you mentioned, 3 tackles for loss last week. It seemed like he, in particular, excelled against a lot of the stretch plays that they were running as far as their run game.
Yeah, he's very athletic. He really can play in space, and it's a little bit of a unique position because you have to be big enough and physical enough to handle tight ends and fullbacks and pulling guards and whatever. But you also have to be able to line up on slot receivers and play in space and get off blocks and cover. So, he is kind of like the perfect body type for the job, and he's just really worked very hard over the last 2 years to make himself into a guy that's ready to go out and compete. And I think you really start to see, the last few weeks you see him make some plays, and then this past week he really kind of stepped up and had the opportunity, and he took advantage of it.
Can you talk a little bit about that play with Elon Moore? I believe he had a green dog contained and a running back with a real route up the sideline, and Elon Moore was followed up and he made a big play.
Yeah, pretty
Covered the
impressive.
coverage, yeah.
Pretty impressive.
Step for step.
Yeah. I mean, for a guy that is pretty much a glorified defensive end, to be able to cover a back of that caliber up the sideline one-on-one, that was a pretty impressive play. But honestly, you see it a lot in practice. I mean, we have some pretty dynamic running backs, and he does it a lot, and it's a big part of some of the stuff that Andy does and Coach Ash was doing, that, where the end drops at times and he has to recognize who's coming out of the backfield and pick it up. But there's very few guys I've seen that have the athletic ability to do that. And, he did it legitimately like it was nothing. He did it like, hey, he looked like a safety.
You mentioned Christian Izzy, and what is it about him that has impressed you?
Well, the first thing is he loves football. It's so evident in the way he practices. It's so evident in the way that he plays. He's really tough. I mean, he's a physical guy. He's maybe not the biggest guy, at least height-wise, but he is thick. He's physical. He's one of the fastest guys on the team. And probably the thing that's most impressive is he trusts what he sees, and he goes to get it right now. I think a lot of guys, when you're playing young players, they're afraid to make a mistake, so they hesitate, and when they hesitate, they get beat. And he does not hesitate. And, maybe the other team's going to make some plays, but at least you have an opportunity to go make plays yourself. And I love the way he plays. I think everybody in the program loves the way he plays. He's got a really bright future.
Well, I was going to say, would you consider Prevalon an unsung hero of the defensive line because of how much he's came along? And I know they're struggling trying to get pressure on the quarterback, but he seems every now and then just pops up and making a big play for the Scarlet defense.
Well, yes, and he's very consistent. He's a physical, tough, strong guy. He's a big presence in there. He takes on a ton of double teams, and then he still finds a way to make plays in the run game and the pass game. So he is about as steady as they come as a defensive lineman.
We'll take a quick timeout. We'll give the coach a little bit of a break, get a chance to get a bite to eat, and we're going to visit with Anthony Marshall next of the Scarlet Knights, who's got a very interesting story. You see him on special teams, but also something that he's done recently that is just an outstanding gesture on his part, and to help raise awareness for cancer research. And Anthony will join us here in just a moment. We'll take a timeout. Once again, you can tweet your questions for Coach Nunzio Campanile at Rutgers Radio. That's at Rutgers Radio, live from the Rutgers Club on the Livingston campus. From Learfield IMG College, this is the Rutgers Football Radio Show.
Managing your healthcare can sometimes feel overwhelming. With the new Horizon Blue app from Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, you get the care and support you want right in your hands. Now you can have all of your healthcare coverage details and access to support at your fingertips. Get help scheduling appointments, find doctors and specialists, access your coverage details, get updates on your claims, see easy-to-understand cost details, and get support straight from the experts at Horizon. You can even see a doctor wherever it's most convenient for you via your smartphone or tablet. Downloading the app is easy and free. Text GET APP to 422-271 today, or find it in the App Store or Google Play. There is no charge to download the Horizon Blue app, but rates from your wireless provider may apply. The Horizon Blue app. It's not just an app, it's your direct connection to care.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
Today, millions of people all across America are building a life in recovery from addiction and mental illness, helping themselves
and helping each other, with friends, family, and community lending their strength and support.
Join the Voices for Recovery.
Together, we are stronger.
For 24-hour free and confidential information and treatment referral for mental and substance use disorders, for you or someone you know, call 1-800-662-HELP.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
Wake up and text. Text and eat. Text and meet up with a friend you haven't seen in forever.
Hi.
Oh, hey. Text and complain that they're on their phone the whole time. Text and listen to them complain that you're on your phone the whole time. Text and whatever. But when you get behind the wheel, give your phone to a passenger. Put it in the glove box. Just don't text and drive. Visit StopTextsStopWrecks.org. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
We have returned to the Rutgers Club here on the Livingston campus for this week's edition of the Rutgers Football Radio Show. It is the Scarlet Knights taking on Liberty this coming Saturday at SHI Stadium. It is a noon start for Rutgers and Liberty this week. And speaking of SHI Stadium, I want to remind you that our friends from SHI help companies select, deploy, and manage cutting-edge technology. Find out how by visiting shi.com. SHI, innovative solutions, world-class support. Right now we're joined by a member of the Scarlet Knights, and you see him a lot on special teams so far. He's Anthony Marshall, number 35. Anthony, how you doing, bud?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Now, Anthony is here because he has done something very special recently. Philosophically, as I was telling you during the break, I would have a problem with this. He has decided to go bald voluntarily. Now that just doesn't seem right, but the reason you're doing it, I think it's just outstanding. And it's an event that you had, it's called Cuts for Carla. It's children from the Embrace Kids Foundation that shaved members of the team's heads, including you, as well as Noah Joseph, the defensive back coach, Roosevelt Boone, director of player engagement. But this is about a very special connection with you, with your mother, who was diagnosed back in January with breast cancer.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about this.
Originally, I went up to Coach Boone and I told him, like, I'm thinking about going bald again because I can't make the breast cancer walk. Usually my family, my grandma drags us all out to go down in, up in North. And it's one thing that I kind of look forward to doing, like letting her know that I'm there for her. And just that, like, we saw everything that she was going through, and just the fact that I couldn't be there for my grandma and also being affected again by my mom, I wanted to do something big. So I told Coach Boone, like, I want to go bald again, but I want to do something bigger. I wanted to affect more people. I want to show people that, like, I'm there, I'm with them. And like I said earlier, like, their fight is my fight.
And what was it like seeing some of their kids' faces? I saw the video, and they look like they're having a great time with the Clippers and everything. Tell us a little bit about that moment that you got to hang out with them and that experience.
Honestly, that was unreal. Like, seeing the effect that it had on them, like, seeing the smiles and faces, like, it was bigger than what I thought it was going to be. I thought they were going to come in and for, like, 2 seconds be like, oh, yeah, I'm cutting his hair. Like, this is awesome. But the whole time just being able to engage with them and really, like, sit there and have conversations with them and let them know that I said their fight is my fight. Like, that was amazing.
What was your mom's reaction when you told her you were going to do this?
She simply just said, like, I love you. Like, just keep being you.
That's awesome. And the great news is that recently she was diagnosed cancer-free, correct?
Yeah.
That's outstanding.
And Anthony, how long have you been involved with, I guess, some of these other things? I know you said your grandpa's been pulling you guys to the walk every year, and you can't make it this year, but are there other things that you've been involved with to Embrace Kids and trying to raise more awareness for breast cancer?
This was my first time with Embrace Kids, but after this, I reached out to them, and we've been emailing back and forth. I was like, I want to do more. Like, this is just the beginning for me.
You know, we've seen so many of current former Rutgers players get involved with Embrace Kids, and it's a fantastic foundation. RWJ involved as well. I'm just curious for you. You know, you were talking about the kids. This is your fight is my fight. I'm with you there. But when you think about everything that they've been through and when you've been personally touched by it, just what does it mean to you to be able to raise awareness and try to make a big difference on a bigger scale like you've talked about?
Honestly, I can't even put words on it. Like, what does it mean to me? Like, it's an individual fight that everybody goes through because we're all affected somehow by it. Whether, like, for me, it's breast cancer, but I know there's people out there that are listening that they've been affected by it. To just have any kind of play in the fight that people are going through, like, I think it means more than like words. It means like physically being there for somebody. Like you can't really put words on that.
And you are a local guy, Middlesex guy. What has that been like, being able to play right here at Rutgers and your family after everything your mom's been going through, being able to come out to the games and be able to support you here?
I mean, this is home. So like, there's no feeling in the world that can match that. Being able to have my mom come to my games, like even going through everything that she's going through, like she'll be there this Saturday. There's nothing like that at all. Like this is home.
So how were the kids and their reaction when they got a chance to shave your head?
They loved it. They were enjoying themselves. They might have been enjoying themselves a little bit too much, but that's okay.
Well, let's talk a little bit about football. I know you've been involved with the special teams. That's how I found my role onto the field. And how much do you embrace, the special teams? Because it's not always a glorifying play, but you have to go out there and do your job each and every time. So, because if you mess up one time, something could pop out either on a kickoff or a kickoff return. You can mess up. Talk a little bit about your special teams role.
To me, it is glorifying. Like that's my job. That's my role. My brother Lawrence Stevens, he told me like when you get on this field for special teams, like you're gonna really embrace it. Like that's gonna be your role. Like when you get on the field, like that's gonna be the only thing that matters to you. And he's right. Like each and every play, every rep, whether it's practice, game, scrimmage, whatever, like that is the only thing you think about. Like doing your job right.
Now, right now you're on punt return, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about your role in punt return, what your assignments are, the things that you're responsible for.
I'm just making sure it's not a fake.
So you have to read the entire situation and know what's going on there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So how do you know it's not?
You hear the sound.
Hear the sound of the punt itself.
Exactly.
I got you. Okay. Now, when you're also in the too deep for some of the other units, Eric loves it so much. It takes a special mentality. Was it something that you did in high school at all? Were you involved at all in it there, or was this new, and how long did it take you to adapt to it?
In high school, we called it Iron Man football. You didn't come off the field.
Yep.
So I'm used to special teams. Special teams is just as important as offense and defense to me. So like being here on this level is kind of the same. Like you got to get used to it because it's faster play and you're playing against better competition. But hey, that's the role.
And can you talk about a little bit about your journey from coming from Middlesex? Did you grow up a Rutgers fan and now being here playing for the university, or were you not a Rutgers fan? Talk about your journey to coming to Rutgers.
When I played NCAA football the game, I always put myself on Rutgers.
Okay, I like to hear that. I like to hear that.
Like in high school, I broke my leg. And as soon as I got cleared to run again, the first place I came was the little hills right in front of the stadium. And got a little sprint workout in.
Okay, so you grew up a Rutgers fan.
Yes, sir.
That's what we need more of that here in New Jersey.
Now, tell us about your free time. What are the things that you kind of do? Who are the guys that you hang with on the team?
I hang out with Lawrence Stevens, a lot of the safety, Tim Barrow, Najee Jones, all those guys. Like we're a real close-knit bunch. I hang out with a bunch of the special teams guys, Aslan Pugh, Freddie Riccio, and whatever we feel like doing that day, that's pretty much what we do, whether it's homework or just going out and having fun.
All right, but are you more of a video game guy or a Netflix guy? What about that?
Oh, we have video game dates.
Where you don't even leave the house.
Pretty much.
Exactly, and everyone here knows, Chris knows, I always ask every player that comes on here, where's your go-to spot to go to eat?
Hansel and Gretel, of course.
Oh, we got a different one, see?
We've been always
getting been Diesel and Dukes the entire time, so I'm glad you switched it up. No one said Hansel and Gretel so far. That's the OG one, because I was actually, Hansel and Gretel was here when I was here. What's the order when you go to Hansel?
Well, I work there, so I know the little special menu.
Okay.
Oh, you got a special menu.
Yeah.
So you get the hookup. Like Eric's eyes just lit up, by the way.
I know you saw
because
that.
he's like, now I know I'm going to get the hookup behind the scenes.
I mean, Chris, we've been with Ray Lucas long enough where if it's free, give me 3. Come on now.
What's on the special menu for Anthony Marshall?
Well, it's not really special. You just go in there, you change a couple things around. What you do is you get a buffalo chicken, Chris.
Okay.
But you don't get the buffalo chicken like the normal buffalo chicken. You take that off and you add the buffalo fried chicken.
Okay. So it's not the buffalo grilled chicken, it's the buffalo fried chicken.
Yes.
And then what else is on it for you?
That's it. That's all you need to change. He gives you some ranch sauce, and if you're not a ranch person, I can't talk to you.
That's outstanding. When you go through a year like this. And has this been one of those years that kind of brings the group together a lot tighter because you're going through some adversity at some different times?
We were already a close-knit bunch. I don't think it's anything that you can do to us to make us closer. Like from the summers, like all we did was spend time with each other. We went through some adversity when we didn't have our locker room. So that made us closer than anything. Like we're inseparable.
Anthony, listen, we appreciate it, and we're with you, and just thrilled that you can help raise awareness for this, for cancer, for Embrace Kids, and what you're doing for your mom is fantastic, and certainly our thoughts and well wishes are with her as she's diagnosed cancer-free.
Absolutely. I'm so happy that she's cancer-free, my man. It's a blessing.
We'll see you out there on Saturday on punt return.
Can't wait.
Anthony Marshall, Rutgers reserve defensive back, with us this week on the Rutgers Football Radio Show. We'll take a timeout. Coach Nunzio Campanile will rejoin us in just a few moments. Stay with us. From Learfield IMG College, you're listening to the Rutgers Football Radio Show.
It's after hours. You're stuck at work. You're feeling lousy. There are those times when you need to see a doctor, but you just can't get there. So what do? Where do you go? You go to the RWJ Barnabas Health Telemed app, and you get to see the doctor right away. Whenever you want, wherever you are, on whatever device you choose. It's that simple and that convenient. No appointment necessary for access to doctors who all meet our high standards. In fact, you can even see physician profiles and read about doctors who fit your needs and match your symptoms. But most importantly, you get a diagnosis when you need it, where you want it, 24/7. Download Telemed from RWJ Barnabas Health at the App Store or visit rwjbh.org/telemed. Now you can see the doctor, even when you can't go to the doctor. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield IMG College.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
We depend on our drinking water supply daily, but where does that water come from? Your water provider encourages you to get to know your local water source so together we can protect and preserve it. The investments we make as a community to protect our water source now ensure we have a sustainable drinking water supply for the future. Visit drinktap.org to learn more. This message is brought to you by the American Water Works Association and your local water provider.
Welcome back to the Rutgers Club here at the Livingston campus of Rutgers University. Rutgers Football Radio Show Week 8. Scarlet Knights taking on Liberty this coming week. And, Liberty's an interesting opponent. They made the jump to FBS last year. They actually do something that I've never seen before that they did last year and they're doing this year. They're playing a home-and-home in football with New Mexico State. They actually played in New Mexico State 2 weeks ago, and then they play at home against New Mexico State at the end of the year. Now, part of it is because they're an independent team, so they need, opponents, and it's not always easy to schedule as an independent, especially when you first move up. Is that something I can't remember seeing that in college football in a long time.
I never heard of it before, and to be honest, I never looked past our game, so I didn't know who they played, but I guess that is pretty interesting.
Last year they
I didn't know you could do that, Chris.
I didn't know you could either, but they may have gotten like a dispensation because they're an independent team and don't have a conference, and they may have been able to do that for the first couple of years because they needed opponents to get 12 games.
But does a team like New Mexico State, they're in a conference?
They are.
So how did that works out as well for them?
I don't know if that counts as 2 of their non-conference games or if they had trouble scheduling non-conference games, or maybe that was the issue. But at any rate, it's just kind of a quirk in their schedule nonetheless. But let's talk a little bit about them. One thing that jumps out is that they have a very good receiver in Antonio Gandy Golden. He is number 3 in the country, 877 yards this season. And only, as we said, 123 away from 1,000 yards. And they also have a very good quarterback in Stephen Calvert, who this year has 15 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So tell us a little bit about their offense, what you've seen.
They're pretty dynamic. They're pretty explosive. I mean, obviously, Coach Freeze has a great reputation as an offensive coach, and then walking into a super experienced quarterback that really knows how to run their offense. He knows how to operate it. They distribute the ball well, even though obviously the one receiver has, like you said, almost close to 1,000 yards already. They still distribute the ball pretty well. They run it well. They have a few good backs that they balance it up with. So they present a lot of problems. They present a lot of issues. That's one of the things, probably the ball distribution, and then obviously the talent level of, Gandy Golden is obviously, he's a dynamic player. I mean, he's a legitimate future big-time NFL player.
And you've been in up-tempo offenses before. How big of it is, when you get negative plays, how hard is it for teams to continue to go forward on what they want to do when you get put in a 2nd and 13 instead of a 2nd and 5 or 2nd and 6?
Well, the teams that are really into the RPO stuff, it's problematic for them because they want to stay on schedule, because once you get them in 3rd and long, and this was one of our issues last week that was something we talked about going into the game, is if you can get them in 3rd and long, then they have to straight throw the ball, which means they have to protect and they have to do some things a little differently. So if you're in the RPO stuff, the ability to force them into negative plays is really important. It's not so much the tempo thing, because sometimes, I don't think Mike Leach cares what the down and distance is. I don't think that's the way he calls the game. But, if you watched, the way Minnesota called the game, so some teams love to stay on schedule, and, but this guy's kind of an eraser. Like, he's the type of guy that if you're in 3rd and 13, well, everything's up, because the guy's just that much of a problem, and, he's a matchup issue.
Tell us a little bit about how the work of the coaching staff has kind of come together here over the last few weeks. People in new roles, Coach Weiss now at tight ends, working with the quarterbacks, and seeing all these guys, not even just the guys in different roles, but also reacting now that you're as the head coach, the group working together. How has that process been?
Well, the first thing is that the guys they're just really first-class guys. I mean, they really are. They love the players. They care about them so much, and they understand that, we have a responsibility to them to make sure that we're at our best every day. So, despite, the uncertainty of the future, I think that they all come to work every day like pros, because they know that those guys are counting on them, and we're demanding that of the players. So, we certainly have to give it back to them. So that's the first thing. And, Coach Boo has done a great job of kind of leading the defense and, keeping those guys on point. It's a great staff. The kids, I think guys have great relationships with all of them. I mean, Noah, Jay, Vince, and Corey Brown, all those guys have great relationships with their players. So that's kind of kept those guys on, all on the same page, which is really important, especially when, the offense struggles and – the defense played well, I thought, at times in the last 2 games. And when the offense struggles, they've done a great job of just keeping everybody like, hey, we're a team, we're doing this together. Vince has done a great job with the special teams. We've had you have some injuries, you start getting a little thin, and we've had to really develop a lot of players, and they've done a really good job there. And then on offense, it's really cool to see guys like Drew and John get an opportunity, because they're really talented young coaches, and they're taking the ball and running with it. They're working really hard at it. They're doing everything they can to kind of help our players prepare, and they're still both doing their GA/analyst jobs while they're coaching a position, which is not easy, because those are, talk about time-consuming jobs now. So, they've really done a great job. And, our offensive staff, we definitely have great continuity. It's been very enjoyable to me to sit in and go through the game plan process with guys that have so much experience, guys like, Pete Rosamundo and Lester Erb and Colby Smith, all different backgrounds. It's been a lot of fun to get in there and work together and try to put an offense together. And I think we'll start to see some of that work, come to fruition in the next couple of weeks.
And Coach, we hear all the time halftime adjustments, but what actually goes into a coach's meeting during halftime of what you see on the field and how you're going to change it? Are there certain things that you pick up that you learn from other coaches when it goes into halftime adjustments before you go out there and address the team. I've always been interested, even as a player, on what goes on in those type of in the rooms before the coaches come out to address the team.
Well, it's funny because you really should be adjusting every drive. I mean, you're always at least taking in information and starting to understand how they plan to defend you. So, one of the things that almost I would imagine every team does is, you script your opener. So you try to find different things, formations, personnel groups, how they're going to react. And then so really at halftime, it's sometimes an opportunity to recognize, like, what are they doing to us on third down? Or are they doing something differently than they did the 4 or 5 weeks prior? And like last week, Minnesota brought more pressure, played more man-to-man, partly because of some of the places where we struggle. They thought that was an advantage to them. I mean, they're basically a bend but don't break, don't make mistakes type of team. They were a little more aggressive against us, probably because they thought the matchups in some ways were in their favor. And so we anticipated that, and then it's sometimes like, all right, well, how do we get to the plays that we think are the next step, when they're getting away from what they're doing? And in all honesty, I don't think anyone has time to wait until halftime to adjust, but it is an opportunity to get everyone together and communicate and get back into the game plan and say, all right, this is what we need to do. And the guys in the booth really have the opportunity to come down and communicate with their players. So all of those things go into the halftime adjustment scenario.
One position that is always a tricky one, yet they always seem to be the most popular on the team, is backup quarterback. With Cole Schneider, how has he handled getting ready? Because you're not going to get the 1 reps necessarily, but you also have to be ready, especially when you have a mobile quarterback who's going to take some hits. You are 1 hit away from being the guy. Yeah,
he has been great. He has a great attitude about it. I think he's really excited about the opportunity, just the reps and the learning and, being involved in it. And it is an interesting situation because obviously we really only have 2, viable scholarship quarterbacks available to us. And I do think it's in his best interest and the team's best interest, or I should say the program's best interest, for him to redshirt. And I think he believes that too. So, we want to get him reps and get him work at a point in games. I think it's important. But at the same time, we have to be careful because, if we put him in a game in a situation where it is somewhat meaningless, it's not going to impact the outcome of the game, and then we need him down the road because of an injury, that could be really unfair to him in his career. So it's an interesting dynamic and something that I've never experienced before. But it is, I think he's really enjoyed the process of being a part of it.
So if that's the case, at this point, you get an injury to Johnny, he'll be the guy. But if not, and it's just late in the game, get some reps, maybe not. Maybe just lay off for the moment.
Well, yeah, it would depend on the game. I mean, obviously, right. If it meant to win the game, certainly.
No. But I'm talking about if the outcome was already decided either way.
Yeah, we would just have to be judicious about it, to understand that, because if, God forbid, Johnny got hurt the next week,
yep,
he's in a more serious manner, then that red shirt is burned.
Right.
So if you just put him in to say like, hey, you're gonna hand the ball off and throw 2 passes, I don't know if that's fair to him. But I also don't know how to get better except for playing. So it's it's an interesting dynamic that I've never run into before. It's usually you do nothing every chance you get to put those guys in the game, you put them in the game. But right now that's not really in his best interest. So we have to be smart about it.
I'm always intrigued by the wide receiver position. I know we talked a little bit about it earlier with Bo Melton and Isaiah Washington, but talk a little bit about a guy, Eddie Lewis. I believe he had 2 receptions this past week. How do you figure out getting those guys on the field and making them run the routes and trying to make them, be ready for when that ball does come to you?
Yeah, Eddie's really kind of turned it on the last few weeks. He's gotten a few more opportunities, and I think he's been excited about going out and making plays. He's kind of got a little bit of a hop in his step the last couple of weeks, and I think that he has a chance to, with some of the stuff that we're trying to do, I think that he has a chance to fit a really good role as like a possession receiver. He's a good route runner. He's got great hands. He's a smart football player. He loves playing. So I think that he's got a chance to do some good things the next few weeks.
All right, last time out. We'll come back, talk a little bit more about the matchup with Liberty and a very special night on Monday night as well. From Learfield IMG College, this is the Rutgers Football Radio Show.
Your bank records are secure. Your first grader can write code. Your package is being delivered, and your driver is 1 minute away. As technology enhances our everyday lives, SHI International ensures the schools and businesses developing new technologies have the tools and expertise they need to compete and win in the ever-changing global marketplace. Find out how SHI supports the business and technical needs of more than 20,000 of the world's most complex IT organizations by visiting SHI.com. That's SHI.com. SHI, innovative solutions, world-class support.
Cold? Cough? Flu symptoms? Sounds like you should see a doctor. So where do you go? You go to the RWJ Barnabas Health Telemed app, and you get to see the doctor right away, whenever you want, on whatever device you choose. It's that simple and that convenient. No appointment necessary. Download Telemed from RWJ Barnabas Health at the App Store or visit rwjbh.org/telemed. RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
This is the Rutgers Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Millions plan for retirement online. Estimate your future benefits, apply for retirement, and manage your benefits all from the comfort of your home. And give yourself the freedom to do what you want offline. Social Security's online services help put you in control with secure access to your information anytime, anywhere, allowing you to spend more time with family, friends, or simply just enjoying the day. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow. See what you can do online at socialsecurity.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Coming up on Monday night, the 7th annual evening with Eric Legrand at Fiddler's Elbow Country Club in Bedminster Township. It's presented by our friends at New Roads Financial. Just some outstanding things to bid on to help raise money for Team Legrand as part of the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation. Looking forward to it, E.
Yeah, it's coming up really fast. You know, Ron and Jason do a tremendous job putting it together and reaching out, getting some auction items and some really cool stuff for the live auction. We always have fun, and I never knew how good you are at getting money. You get people's money out of their pockets.
I'm extremely good at guilting people into opening their wallets.
I'm telling you, it's pretty hilarious. If you haven't been, you have to come check out Chris trying to do the live auction, and he does a tremendous job. So I'm looking forward to the event on Monday. We always have a lot of fun.
I just retweeted it from the @Rutgers Radio account, all the information that you need, but by all means, be a part of it. Give.reeve.org for more information, and New Roads Financial as well. They do a tremendous job. All right, Coach, a final thought on the game this week against Liberty, things that you're looking for Rutgers to get a win.
You know, they sound kind of cliche, but we have to win the turnover battle. I mean, that is a huge part of it. We have to possess the ball. We got to make some explosive plays. We got to limit explosive plays because I think we played really good defense and then at times been hit with some. So, you know, that's a big part of it. We have to do something special in the special teams game, whether it's a block punt, whether it's a kick return for a touchdown. We've been close on a few things, but we have to make some game-changing plays, to kind of get ourselves going. They're a really good football team. They're really well coached. They're playing really hard. They're pretty balanced. So I think it should be a really good football game.
Coach, good luck on Saturday.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, Coach.
Thanks.
All right, that is Rutgers and Liberty this coming Saturday, 12 noon, SHI Stadium. Of course, the game will be on BTN and on the Fox Sports app. Mike Monago and, of course, former Scarlet Knight Sean O'Hara will be on the call this week. Want to thank our producer and engineer in studio, John Essick, and, of course, Colin Osborne handling RVision here at the Rutgers Club, and Paul Schrager, our producer and engineer on the radio side as well. For Eric Legrand and the coach, Nunzio Campanile, this is Chris Carlin. Have a great week, everybody. We'll see you Saturday noon, Rutgers and Liberty.
Thank you for listening to the Rutgers Football Show. Join us throughout the season from the Rutgers Club to talk Scarlet Knights football. Tonight's show has been brought to you by The preceding has been a Learfield IMG College presentation of the Rutgers Sports Network.